Alright folks, so it has officially happened. According to the latest Bank of America Global Fund Manager survey, a recession is now the consensus. It's not a fringe belief, it is now the consensus belief. The net percentage of global fund managers saying a recession is likely is the highest we've seen since April 2020 and March of 2009. And the market responds to this exactly how you'd expect, with a massive rally. Now, of course, this is terrible news for the economy, but it is good news in several different aspects when it comes down to the market. And the main reason is fairly straightforward. The Fed is likely to be an even bigger pansy at fighting and actually getting down this inflation if the consensus spreads that we're already heading into an imminent recession. We know that the Fed is incredibly sensitive to the market's inflation expectations, because they think that that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If people think prices are going to continue to spiral, they tend to buy more things now, which causes more spiraling of prices. And this was a huge pressure on the Fed for the most recent hike decisions. But if the new consensus is a recession, it also creates this dynamic where inflation expectations start plummeting, and actual inflation when it comes down to commodities should become more and more muted as well. Now, of course, there's a long way to fall to actually get to an area that doesn't risk stagflation, but when you're looking at this net in effect, the Fed is going to have less reason to be aggressive and more pressure not to be aggressive. And if you think back to what we were talking about just yesterday, the Fed has already essentially been guiding down market expectations on what they were going to respond to this recent 9.1% year-over-year inflationary data. They basically said that they are reverting back to a transitory era similar policy of basically trailing inflation, expecting it to go down before the data actually backs it up. Which, while a 75 basis point hike versus a 100 or 125 basis point hike doesn't seem like a big difference, the truth is it makes a big difference for the overall trajectory, because if you're no longer turning up the heat with inflation, all of a sudden that means that you're trailing it more and more as inflation gets hotter and hotter. That was a complete flip from what the Fed was increasingly doing in the previous two meetings. Which means markets right now are net and in effect taking a relief rally on some new sentiment coming onto the scene that the Fed is going to have rates peaking at a lower rate than markets had factored in, and is going to be reversing policy at a shorter time horizon than otherwise had been expected. Yesterday we were talking about how markets were factoring in a reverse of course as early as Q1 of 2023 and rates getting to peaks around 350-ish. But as of today, you're seeing the time horizon for when the Fed actually reverses course and gives the green light for equities to rise again based on multiples get shortened even further. In fact, according to Bloomberg today, Credit Suisse just said in a note, investors are now expecting a Federal Reserve pivot in the fourth quarter, and are beginning to move into growth stocks and looking into cheap cyclicals like autos. The lowering of expectations on how aggressive the Fed is going to be at fighting this inflation is already causing a dramatic shift in sentiment. The idea that you'd already have big money investors starting to switch into growth stocks and cyclical stocks this early in a tightening cycle suggests that people are starting to really think the Fed is not going to go through with this inflation battle. And you ask yourself why? Well, how do you avoid a massive recession and a lot of the pain associated with insane money printing? Well, you simply pretend to care about inflation but barely do anything, allow the economy to start going down on its own because purchasing power has been completely eroded, and then when the economy starts showing some real widespread pain, you step in very, very quickly and shallow it out. You go back to printing endless amounts of money. You go back to lowering rates. You stop unloading asset purchases. Maybe you even start buying them again, although I'm not going to go that far. You come back as Superman Jerome Powell and you save the day. And most importantly, because you can't stimulate your way out of a recession that was caused by overstimulation, you simply change your baseline inflation expectation from 2% to perhaps 4 or 5%. And thus you could say, well, actually higher inflation is now normalized. The idea that the Fed is going to reverse course before inflation is anywhere near their target is starting to become something out of a fairy tale. This reminds me of a Michael Burry prediction that we covered a while back. He said the Fed is not really trying to fight inflation, they are simply just trying to get some extra elevation so that they can come in and save the day when the economy starts going into collapse. And of course, pump up the next bubble. Now, of course, look, you will never see me complaining about predictions that growth stocks are going to see inflows. It seems obvious to me that whenever the Fed does indeed pivot, a lot of the best deals are actually in those growth growth sectors, companies that have businesses and technologies that are growing steadily and way above the market average year over year, despite the fact that their stocks are down 60, 70, or 80%. Why are they down so much? Well, because growth stock valuations are based on future growth. Future growth has been discounted to oblivion in this current market environment. But still, while I'm totally pro a new rotation into growth stocks, the truth is if you really read between the lines, it's hard to say if the ends really justify the means. This new round of investors are basically saying, hey, we think that the Fed is going to step down well before inflation steps down. We're going to allow inflation to plateau at a much higher rate and then once again return to printing money and really low interest rate policy. And that's going to create an eventual open season to get the heck out of cash and into equities. If the Fed no longer wants to move in any sort of direction to protect the purchasing power of cash and at the same time ends its waging of war against the equity markets and overall asset markets, then all of a sudden people want to get rid of their cash as fast as possible and the whole dynamic flips. But eventually the roosters go cock-a-doodle-doo when they come home to roost. And if the Fed kicks the can down the road another few years, what if things are much, much worse then? And in any case, this is the sentiment that you're seeing in the market right now. Of course, the Fed can 180 and has 180'd about 1,000,000 times in the past. But the Fed has been very, very consistent at wanting to under-attack inflation. And the recent guiding down and the recent recessionary data suggest that trend is going to continue. And with that, there should be a growing sentiment of people who do think that rates aren't going to be as aggressive as we had thought. People thinking that, hey, yes, we're going to go into an earnings recession, but the multiple side of the sell-off may well be behind us. And in fact, you may see an expansion of multiples heading into a recession as the Fed starts signaling a reverse of course. That said, going back to the Bank of America survey, it explains exactly how investors are prepping their portfolios for what is to come. And it's basically by getting up to 10 free stocks with Charlie's link to Moomoo down below and getting them before the end of the month when this deal expires. We are single-handedly trying to bail out this economy by giving you better trading resources and free stocks. But jokes aside, net and in effect, the vast majority of investors are still prepping for a massive recession with a few catches. They think that perhaps the multiple crunching is over, but the percent of global fund managers that think global profits will improve is bleaker than Bleaky McGee, and that guy was pretty damn bleak. I broke the insights down into two categories: what the survey tells us investors have concentrated their portfolio in, and then what they have been increasingly changing in the last 4 weeks in these same portfolios. This should give you an idea of how they are stacked up right now and how they are preparing as things change. So starting with what investors' portfolios look like right now, they are very long cash and defensives like staples and healthcare. Remember, staples are things like food, beverages, non-durable household goods, and personal products. Cream to put on all the first-degree burns that we've gotten from the stock market. You also have the most crowded trades being the US dollar, oil, and overall commodities, ESG assets, and short US treasuries. Investors are very, very short stocks overall, particularly EU companies, but also general banks, tech, and consumer. Investors are the most bearish on the Eurozone and Japan, the first of which is susceptible the most to the Ukraine crisis and the overall energy crisis, and the second is struggling with the collapsing of their currency, especially compared to the USD. If your currency is collapsing compared to the USD, you've got big problems, and unfortunately, that's actually most of the world right now. The funny thing about having a world reserve currency is that you kind of attract all the capital from the rest of the world, and they kind of bail you out, and you export the inflation when things get really bad and you start tightening rates. But that's a story for a whole nother video. But anyways, the overall takeaway is that investors this year have created portfolios that suggest they are most bullish cash and most bearish on equities, which is obviously a solid move because cash has outperformed pretty much every major indices this year, unless you're in some sort of specific short fund or a energy fund. And until the Fed gives the green light that it's going to switch back to easing instead of tightening, cash will likely continue to outperform. This is what portfolios look like on a chart. Massive, massive capitulation from equities this year and massive rotation into commodities, alternative investments, and cash. I've been diversifying a lot of my net worth into organic candles for two reasons. Number one, energy costs are going through the roof, which means eventually we won't be able to afford to light our house anymore with anything except for candle lighting. And then number two, organic candles, the organic part is an ESG requirement. The most important thing at the end of the world is how did we meet the arbitrary political correctness guidelines? Personally, I'm a big believer that it's not about doing good, but it's about how good can you sound and how good can you make other people think you are, which is why I'm totally pro ESG. And look, folks, I love the fact that the E stands for environment and Exxon is one of the top ESG companies and they just kicked Tesla off. Like I said, today it's a lot more important to sound good than it is to be good. And that's really all that matters because it's all about how we feel. But let's talk about what's starting to change in portfolios. In the past 4 weeks, investors increased their exposure to bonds, staples, utilities, utilities, healthcare, while also slashing overall exposure to equities, Eurozone materials, and banks as a whole. And most importantly, note that they are cutting exposure to resources. So what's going on here? Why increase your exposure to bonds? Is it because you like bondage? Hey, maybe an inappropriate joke, but don't tell me that having an affection for pain wouldn't have helped almost every investor this year. You increase your exposure to bonds because you think that the Fed's tightening trajectory is going to be more short-lived than you had previously thought. And thus yields have a peak that is coming, and of course, bond yields move inversely to bond prices. So once they start peaking and heading down, all of a sudden those prices go back up, so you want to buy them now, right? And that's what you're starting to see people do. Why would you increase exposure to staples, utilities, and healthcare? Well, because you think that the daily must-have for survival items are going to increasingly go up in price. But why would you slash exposure to equities as a whole, the Eurozone, materials, and banks and resources? Well, because you are thinking that we are heading into an earnings recession, we are heading into a consumer recession, we are heading into an everything but the essentials recession, and of course a profit contraction, which again is something that we've already seen in the real survey data. So net and in effect, if you look at this data, it suggests a few very, very clear things. Number one, investors are indeed holding portfolios that match a belief that we're heading into a recession. But number two, their concentration also suggests that they are expecting inflation to remain hot in certain key areas and probably plateau at a higher rate. But at the same time, see the Fed taking the foot off the market's neck somewhere between Q4 and Q1. So while Credit Suisse's prediction that people are moving into growth stocks may not end up being a true trend just yet, overall investors are certainly starting to move to expecting the Fed to take the foot off the neck well before the crisis is actually behind us. But overall, and meeting with the title of this video, there was actually some pretty good news. The good news, in my view, is that because a majority of global fund managers think we are heading for a recession, that means that we have some headwinds that could help push down commodity prices and keep them down a little bit better than otherwise they would have. And that could soften the blow quite a bit of stagflation and create this environment where the Fed actually is more justified in being a little bit less aggressive at fighting inflation. The second and more debatable good news for folks who do want a bull market to return as fast as possible, which isn't necessarily going to be the best situation in the world because it could mean the gutting of our economy 3-4 years from now. But for people who do want that return of the bull market, well, the chances of the Fed backing down as early as the end of Q4 or the beginning of Q1 are becoming significantly higher. Anyways, that caps off this video. Make sure to hit that ravishing like button and also subscribe. If you want to get up to 10 free stocks with Moomoo before the end of the month, make sure to sign up with our link down below. And if you're looking to learn how to trade with our step-by-step lessons, private chat, daily morning briefings, as well as our full price target list, I'll put a link to ZipTrader you below. Have a good one, folks, and I'll see you in the next video.